Good morning, this is Doug.
And I'm Cindy.
Welcome to Help Me Help Mama livecast. Thanks for joining us today. And today we're doing a review of an article that appeared in U.S. News and World Report by Brenda Avidan. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. She was a contributor to U.S. News, and this was an article about her dad, and he was at home by himself after his wife died, and Brenda apparently lived in California. She had some unhelpful siblings that lived closer to Dad, but Dad was pretty well fending for himself.
And Dad was in Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee. She's in California, he's in Milwaukee, and a local caseworker checked in and at first was helpful, arranged for home delivered meals, and that was helpful because Dad was just eating bologna or crackers or whatever he could get out of the fridge. The caseworker said eventually, when Dad declined just a little more, hey, if y'all don't do something, we're gonna basically threaten to remove him from the home.
I can relate.
Yeah?
I can relate. There are mandatory reporters who, when they come in contact with your loved one, if they feel like your loved one is not safe, this is what they'll say.
In the state, you know, hey, it's their job, and in your state it may be called different. In our state it's called Adult Protective Service, and it's a state agency, and their job is to protect at-risk adults. You know, there's some adults like this man here at home. Since he didn't have any help at home, he was home by himself. Sounds like way past the time that he should have been home by himself. And so the state worker doing what she should have done, you know, she was checking, you know, in with him and to see that he's okay. And she contacted the family and basically gives them, you could look at it as an ultimatum, or you could look at it as an opportunity, you know, to do something for Dad. And the local kids weren't willing to, so Brenda, you know, put him on a plane, took him home with her to California.
Okay, so this is a man who was an immigrant, became an American citizen. He was in a very comfortable place where he had lived for years and years and years. She picks him up, takes him out of that environment. It was obviously the best choice.
Yeah, and in their case, it was like the only choice.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that her dad was like to tinker with electronics and stuff, and he loved that, loved going down in his basement, and you know, so it was a big change for him to move in with her away from his home. But when his Alzheimer's progressed to the point that he could no longer care for himself at home, that was
and it was a big change for her and huge, her husband too,
because she moved him in with her family. We did that with my grandpa when I was a kid. You know, Grandpa moved in with us, and everybody loved Grandpa. He loved us, but it's this, you know, different. You got someone else in your home, and your mom moved in with us for a while.
Mom moved in with us,
and everything was fine there, but it is different. You got another person in the house, and it's just a different flow now because you've got a different person in her house. Brenda mentions in the article about, you know, her siblings not helpful, and she got a power of attorney, which is a lesson in and of itself. If, you know, if your loved one is declining and there's no power of attorney, I mean, they've got to have capacity to sign a power of attorney, and sometimes people wait till it's too late. So do that while they still got capacity. It's obviously their decision to do that or not do that and to appoint someone, but a lot of times if that's not done, well, then a guardianship has to happen.
And when she got him to her home, he would say, I want to go home. And she pointed out something that I hadn't really thought about before. But what is home to a person with dementia? Is it a place? Is it the frame house where they lived? Is it a time that they remembered, that they recognized? Or is it even people that they recognize and they're comfortable being around? So what is home? And I hadn't thought about that before.
You know, my grandma had Alzheimer's, and I remember I was very young, but I remember she would say, I want to go home. And, you know, she was very adamant about it. I want to go home. So at first...
And she was in the house.
She was sitting in her home, yeah, when she was saying this. And at first we could, you know, put her in a car, drive around the block, then she's good. She's home. And then after that, No, this is not it. Just like Brenda pointed out in this article, what is home? What was Grandma thinking? What was Brenda's dad thinking? Was it a place and time? Was it when they were a kid, you know, their childhood home?
When he was raising his family, he was working, something he remembered.
One tip she pointed out was engage a person in dialogue. You know, when he said, "Where's Ma?" Well, she didn't know if he was talking about his wife or maybe his mother. And so she'd fish for questions and she'd start talking about things maybe that they did when she was little.
Yeah, so she could answer his question somewhat correctly, so she would know which ma or mom he was referring to.
Right. But this is a great article, got a few tips in it. Great caregiver story of a remote caregiver, Brenda, that stepped up to the plate and did the right thing by her dad. She brought him in with her to her home, and where he could get the care he needed, where she could provide the care. She couldn't be there, so she brought him in with her. So thanks for posting that article, Brenda.
Yes.
Thank you for watching today. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. Please just click the subscribe button below and click the notification bell at the top so you'll be notified about future videos that we do. And we appreciate you watching.
And thank you for being a caregiver for your loved one. You're making a huge difference in their life.